Hello, everyone, listeners of Stories Beyond Life. My name is Tracy, and this is the first time I am sharing our story with the world. What I am about to tell you is an experience that has shaken my family and made us look to the future with both fear and hope. I hope you read these words with attention and an open heart. It is not easy for me to relive these moments, but I feel it is necessary to warn all of you and prepare you for what might happen. It was a hot Sunday in June. My husband Jack, our 5-year-old son Michael, and I were on a road trip to visit my parents in Boulder, Colorado. Michael was in his car seat, his eyes filled with curiosity as he looked out the window. The sun was shining high in the sky, and the roads were filled with families enjoying the good weather. The day was peaceful, full of laughter and chatter. I remember Michael talking about a new game he had learned at school, his face glowing with childish excitement. Suddenly, without warning, a car hit us from the side at an intersection. I only remember the deafening sound of the impact, the metal bending, and the glass shattering. When I reopened my eyes, everything was a blur. The sound of ambulance sirens filled the air, and I saw flashing lights everywhere. Jack was injured but conscious. Then I saw Michael, motionless, with his eyes closed. My heart stopped. There is nothing more terrifying for a parent than seeing their child in that state. I felt a piercing scream escape my throat, a scream that seemed to have no end. The paramedics quickly took him away. The hours that followed were the longest and most terrible of my life. At the hospital, they told us that Michael had suffered a severe concussion and several fractures. He was in critical condition and needed immediate surgery. The cold lights of the hospital, the pungent smell of disinfectants, and the incessant sound of medical machines created a surreal atmosphere. I felt like I was trapped in a nightmare from which I could not wake up. After hours of waiting, the surgeon informed us that my son was stable but in an induced coma. That night, I stayed by his bed, praying and hoping. I held Jack's hand, seeking comfort in his warm, reassuring touch. Every so often, I looked at Michael's face, looking for signs of improvement. At one point, my little boy opened his eyes briefly and muttered something I couldn't understand, then fell asleep again. Those few words, though incomprehensible, were like a ray of light in a dark night. The next day, Michael fully woke up. There was something different about him. His eyes, normally full of liveliness, were deep and full of a wisdom I had never seen. He looked at me and said, "Mom, I saw things while I was sleeping. I met a luminous man who talked to me about the future." His tone was calm and serene, as if he were telling an ordinary story. I felt a shiver down my spine. How could a 5-year-old child speak so calmly about something so extraordinary? At first, I thought it was just a dream caused by the trauma. But my son began to tell incredible details. He said he had met a man in white clothes who welcomed him to a place full of light and peace. He told me there would be great changes in the world in the coming months of 2024, Michael explained. He showed me natural disasters, conflicts, and people suffering, but he also told me there is hope and that people need to come together to overcome these difficult times. Michael described scenes of destruction, earthquakes, storms, and fires. He drew pictures of destroyed cities, crowded hospitals, but also images of hope and rebirth. Everything was too detailed to be just a product of his imagination. Every description was accompanied by a precise and vivid drawing, showing with unsettling clarity what he had seen. Every time Michael spoke, his face lit up with an inner light, as if he were sharing a sacred secret. My son continued to reveal details that left us speechless. He talked about a storm that would hit the east coast of the United States, causing devastation. He described vast fires in California and an earthquake that would shake Alaska. But the most disturbing thing was his vision of a virus that would change the way people lived. His descriptions were so precise and detailed that Jack and I decided to document everything he said. Michael had never had access to such information and could not have invented such a complex story. My son said the glowing man showed him pictures of people wearing masks and gloves, deserted cities, and crowded hospitals. He described a world where social distancing had become the norm and people communicated mainly through screens. He talked about scientists working tirelessly to find a cure and world leaders trying to coordinate their nations' responses. But amidst all this chaos, Michael also saw acts of incredible courage and altruism. He told stories of doctors and nurses risking their lives to save others, neighbors helping the vulnerable, and communities coming together to face the crisis. We decided to share this story with you not to scare you, but to warn you. Michael told us we could make a difference if we prepare and help each other. His words are not just a prediction of catastrophes, but an invitation to unite, to be strong, and to show the best of humanity in times of crisis. We do not know if everything Michael saw will happen exactly as he described, but we believe it is our duty to share his vision. We have learned never to underestimate a child's words and to pay attention to the messages we receive, no matter how incredible they may seem. Michael urged us to prepare for the future, to stock up on food and water, to learn first aid techniques, and to create emergency plans for our families. He talked about the importance of staying united, helping our neighbors, and never losing hope. Every time he spoke, I felt a sense of urgency and determination. It was as if my son had become a messenger, charged with warning us and preparing us for what was to come. We often talked with Michael about his visions. Each time we did, he seemed to become calmer and more serene. He told us the luminous man had said that despite the difficulties, humanity would find a way to overcome the crisis. He told us that the key to overcoming all this was love and compassion. Mom, Dad, Michael would say, we have to take care of each other and stay united. This is what will save us. Thank you for listening to my son's story to the end. I invite you to share your opinions in the comments. If you've made it this far, leave a comment saying, Amen. If you want more spiritual rebirth stories like this, I ask you to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell to receive daily updates.